Hello, 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 and welcome to the Penguins Collective Podcast. My name is Louie.
My name is Josh,
We're two brothers who love to talk about hockey.
especially the Pittsburgh Penguins.
We have a really cool episode for you. What we do every single season is a recap. So this is the 2023-2024 Pittsburgh Penguins season recap through our eyes, okay? Before we get into it, we usually go live after every single game of the Penguins season on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. But for this offseason, we're going to only stream. We're only going to record on YouTube and then link to the YouTube video. So stay tuned for some cool stuff. We appreciate you being here. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell when we do post and when we go live. We want you to be there. So with that being said, let's get into this episode. The Pittsburgh Penguins lost. They are not in the playoffs. Currently, the playoffs are going on right now. It's already a couple games in for a lot of the
East Coast
series, Josh.
Yeah.
But the Penguins aren't a part of it. So sucks to suck. Apparently, the Pittsburgh Penguins aren't good enough. Me and Josh were on a family trip to Tennessee. If you saw our last live stream, it was against the Nashville Predators. Our wives were there. Our sister was there asking us questions. Actually, it was a pretty good episode. I wish that was our kind of last episode. But it was that episode. Our Wi-Fi was not good. We couldn't watch the game for the last one. It was so weird. A lot of people said our last stream was so blurry and we barely were hanging on for that stream. So we kind of made the decision, hey, we're just not going to record. Mainly because the night before, our hearts got ripped out of our chest because we needed the Washington Capitals to lose in order for us to get into the playoff spot, which is the wild card 2 spot. And they couldn't get it done. The Washington Capitals beat the Philadelphia Flyers to get into the playoffs, kicking us out.
I got opinions on that, but
I know.
I'll save it for a rainy day.
Save it for a rainy. What were the opinions about?
Well, just the fact that they pulled their goaltender,
and the fact that Tortorella from the Flyers, the head coach of the Flyers, wasn't told.
That's BS. Call BS on
that.
He's covering his butt, saying that he wasn't told. Telling you, he just didn't care. He didn't care at that point.
There was another game going on for the Flyers to win. They had to rely on, what was the other team?
Detroit
to win. They needed Detroit to win.
No, they needed Detroit to lose.
Oh,
because
yes.
we needed that too.
We needed Detroit to lose. Now, that's a whole other conversation. We'll get into it. But
gets hairy.
The fact is, the Red Wings came back 4-1, which they have been doing against us. Have they done it before? They come all the way back. They head into overtime, which automatically eliminates the Flyers because the Red Wings got a point. So with that, the Flyers were still playing their game, decided to pull their goalie without knowing that the Red Wings went into overtime, which means their season is done, which is why are they pulling the goalie? Just play.
And for context, it was 1-1.
Yes.
When the goalie was
pulled. So just play it out, go into overtime, kill it for the Capitals and kill it for whatever. If the Capitals lost in overtime and the Red Wings lost in overtime, we would have went to the playoffs.
If we beat the Islanders.
Right, which I think we would have if the situations were changed.
Sure.
Because I did catch a glimpse and a majority of the highlights of that game, the last game of the season against Islanders in New York, and the Penguins looked horrible. Just the Penguins, you could tell they were deflated. They were done. They wanted to just have their season be over. They knew they obviously weren't getting into the playoffs on Wednesday night after Tuesday's craziness with the Flyers and the Red Wings. And they look bad. And because it didn't matter if they won, if they lost, it would have been nice if they went out on a win, but it doesn't really matter. So the Penguins are out. The season's done. And now it's time for the season recap. Let's dive into our predictions in the beginning of the season. So every year, Josh and I kind of give our predictions of what's going to happen, what we think may turn out to be the Penguin season. And I'm laughing because
and it's we don't do individual players because that's
that's too much.
Really
that's
hard.
Too much.
So what we did was just predict the team, where we would finish in the division, in the Eastern Conference for the playoffs.
And we're not pretending to be analysts or anything like that. We are just, like we say, we are two brothers who just like to talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins. So please take this with a grain of salt. Don't make fun of us too bad. And with that, I'll take my first a crack, which was the Pittsburgh Penguins will finish second in the Metropolitan Division behind the Carolina Hurricanes and make it to the playoffs. I mean, that's implied with finishing second to the Carolina Hurricanes, but no, nothing could be further from the truth than what I had high hopes for. Remember, this was right off of a Erik Karlsson trade. This was right after Kyle Dubas came in. The hopes were high. The adrenaline was running, and I was like, parade is happening. The Penguins are going to win the Stanley Cup. This is how we do it. We come in second. We're not the greatest in the Metropolitan, but we're going to get the job done. Boy, was I wrong. We finish fourth in the Metropolitan. Fourth in the Metropolitan. Yeah. We just missed the playoffs. Very similar to last season. We miss it by a game, which technically same scenario here. And the Penguins are out. So my prediction was dog water. Josh, what was your prediction? And we obviously know where the Penguins ended up, but what was your prediction?
Not far off from you. Because I, albeit I was excited as well. I, tapered my expectations a little bit, even though it was still a little outlandish. I said that they were going to finish third in the Metropolitan behind the Hurricanes and
who else, Josh? Who else?
The Devils. I was.
That's the hot take right there. You think my take was bad? This guy was saying that the Devils were going to be better than us. So,
but hey, I'm not the only one. People who were in the know were saying that they were going to win the Metropolitan. So
that is true. That is true. A lot of high hopes coming into the season for the Devils. There was a young team, fast team. They fired their coach this season. So that just goes to show how bad and how they did not meet the expectations for the Devils. But Penguins don't make the playoffs. Our predictions were trash. Stay tuned for September when we have our season preview. Will our predictions be more grounded in reality? Will our predictions change if we get another trade? Another thing that happens if we sign Sidney Crosby to another 12 years, what will that make for our predictions? You got to stay and find out, because September, our predictions for this upcoming season will be on
It'll
blast.
Be here before you know it.
I know. I'm looking at the date. It's almost May now, so you're like May, June, July, August. Wow, we're there. So we're gonna have a very busy off. We're going to have a very busy off season. We would like to record a couple episodes a month for you guys. Keep you in the know what's going on with the Penguins. June is going to come here really fast, and that's going to be a big time for the Penguins, whether they re-sign Crosby to a longer extension, more than just a year. A lot of speculation already happening. So let's talk about that, Josh. Let's dive right into it. The Pittsburgh Penguins are done for the season. Crosby, Sidney Patrick Crosby, the captain of the Pittsburgh Penguins, number 87, the savior of Pittsburgh. He doesn't have a contract currently right now.
He's got one more year.
No, his contract's up. He froze. He froze like a deer in the headlights. His contract's up.
Pull it up.
Pull it up, Josh.
I'll pull it up. I ain't afraid to prove I'm wrong. But just letting you know, you're going to be the one who's wrong.
We can edit it when I go Sidney Crosby.
Why? Keep it in. Keep all this in.
Keep this in?
All magic. This is all magic right here.
This is behind the scenes.
This is behind the scenes. They get to see us figure out if we're right or wrong.
And see why my chair are wrong.
8.7 for the season of 2024-2025.
So he has one more season with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, and I think the reason why everyone is saying that this is the offseason that he re-signs is because you don't leave a guy like Sidney Crosby on a 1-year,
will we not extend your, yeah.
Exactly. You don't do what we did to Jake Gensel to Sidney Crosby.
Hey man, depending on the season, we'll see if we trade you or not. I think that's the last thing you say to Sidney Crosby if you want to stay in the hockey business. Look, whether I'm wrong or right doesn't matter. The fact still remains. Sure. June 1st comes. Kyle Dubas better be at Sidney Crosby's house, whether it's in Nova Scotia or here in Pittsburgh, making sure he signs him and making sure of above all else that guy is happy. Here's why. Not just enough that he's Sidney Crosby. He was our best player this season, okay?
Yes.
Even with Jake Gensel, better player. He was our best player. He was our leader. Look at the last 12 days of the season, 12 games of the season. He led it. He had another point per game season. He ties Wayne Gretzky for most seasons, point per game. This guy is still playing at an elite level. If this team was as good as we hoped for, he would have hit 100 points on the season. In fact, the month of the season and Crosby producing, he was on pace for 110 points in the season.
Something like that. It was something crazy that he hasn't done in a while. Yeah.
So my point is, and then the Penguins fell off, and obviously his points fell off because he's the team. He's part of a team. Hockey's a team sport. But what I'm trying to say is the guy is our best player. He was on pace to get 100 points. He led the team in scoring. He was way better than any person. He's probably still, I know you can argue, best player in the league. His name was thrown around for the Art Ross. Like there's things, not Art Ross. Yeah, Art Ross. Because it doesn't matter about the scoring title because that's not what I'm talking about. The Art Ross.
Wait, isn't Art Ross the
What's
scoring
the Art
title?
Ross?
I think you're thinking of the Hart.
The most points.
Most points is the Art Ross.
Then what's the Hart?
MVP.
So then, yeah. Wait, the Hart is the MVP or the Art Ross? Guys, this is why we usually get our crap straight before we go live.
Art Ross
this is
with the highest
scoring.
Yeah.
Okay. But what's voted?
And the Hart Memorial Trophy is essentially the league MVP. Yeah.
Correct. That's what I was referring to, and I hit the mic.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to.
The Hart Trophy.
Correct.
That his name got thrown around with the Hart Trophy because of how well he was playing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the guy is unreal. Kyle Dubas needs to literally be begging Crosby what he wants so he can make it happen. And me and Josh have talked about this on our episodes throughout the season. Dubas wouldn't have taken this job if it wasn't for Sidney Crosby. He said it himself. He's going to re-sign him. Like, the fact that people are out here who have legitimate hockey analyst jobs saying that maybe it's time for the Penguins to move on from Sidney Crosby should be fired, like, immediately. I think you're absolutely an idiot. And I don't care if you take offense to this. If you think the Penguins should move on from Sidney Crosby, you're an absolute idiot and you don't know hockey. He was one of the best players in the league this season. You want to watch him walk because he's old? What are you talking about? The dude has been here since he was 18 years old. He knows how to play hockey. He knows how to lead a team. You want to get rid of Malkin, Letang, Carlson, those old guys? Sure. But you don't lead. This is the captain. He's here whether you like it or not. We barely missed the playoffs, just like last year. It's not like we're falling apart. It's not like we're Chicago. We've never been mathematically eliminated a month before the playoffs. It's not that we're that bad.
I think the thing is, a lot of fans were, because again, I understand there's analysts that are saying it, and I think it's the fans and the analysts that want to see a great player, an all-time great player, succeed. And I put a tweet out there that, even though these playoffs are off to a great start, we're missing the GOAT. We are missing Sidney Crosby. And I think the analysts and the fans are saying, we can't keep having this. We can't have this generation's GOAT, Sidney Crosby, keep missing the playoffs. And they just want to see him succeed. So they say, get him out of Pittsburgh. It's a soft rebuild. So why have him, sit through it, get him out of there so that they can watch him succeed? And I get that. Yeah. I understand, like, as a Crosby fan, I can, fully support that. However, as a Penguins fan, I would freak out if that ever happens, because that is the wildest thing I would ever see. It would be as if, because we talk about football is king, Patrick Mahomes being traded away from the Kansas City Chiefs
because they didn't make a playoff one year. Yeah,
exactly. Get out of here. That would never happen. I don't care. I don't care how many years we miss in a row. I don't care if it's the next 3 years that we miss. You do not trade that type of player away. And I could be wrong and something happens, because I was saying that about my Tennessee Titans a few years ago. A.J. Brown is a generational player. You do not trade that type of person, and he was traded.
But
however,
there's a difference. He wanted out.
But because the contract negotiations went sour, and that's what I was going to say.
Sure.
So if this summer goes south, I'm scared. He needs to re-sign before the season starts. He can't linger. We watched it. Kyle Dubas is a patient guy, very patient, probably to a fault, and it ended up, I don't know if it bit us in the butt, but we saw it unfold with Gensel. I'm not a fan of how it ended up. I felt like that's a contract that could have been done. I mean, we'll technically see when he does re-sign with Carolina, which I think will be the inevitable thing. When he re-signs, we'll see what the contract is. And if it's anything that the Penguins could have done, I'm going to be really kind of upset, just because
we could have done it for him.
We could have done it, But
here's the thing. I know. So yeah, you're right. If the negotiations turn sour, then we have something to be scared about. But here's what I think, and I honestly believe they've already talked about it. I think it's already done. Maybe they're just working on the details, but how could you not already have that conversation by now? It's 7 days since when we last streamed. All right. I would have already had Sidney Crosby go, okay, so this is the number you want. This is the amount of years. Okay. Okay. Let's see if we can work around that. Okay. Is that good for you? Okay, great. Well, hey man, go back to Nova Scotia, chill. We'll make the announcement on June 1st. Like it's that simple. Now, can we re-sign now?
Yes, that's the thing. If it is that, easy as you're saying, it would have been announced because there have been other players, although there
Marc-Andre Fleury just re-signed. Yeah,
although it's not like, big flashy players like Sidney Crosby. I mean, Fleury's a big name, but, up there in years and everything. But let's be honest here. If it's you're saying, the deal would already be done. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to wait. But I really hope it's done, before the season starts. I don't care if they wait until training camp when they come in. I think it's August. I don't care if it's then. That's fine. As long as it's done before the first regular season game of next season.
I think that's a little too late for me. If this is Sidney Crosby we're talking about. This isn't Jake Guentzel. Yeah. This isn't Evgeny Malkin. This isn't Chris Letang. This is Sidney Crosby. And Penguins have a history of not treating their superstars right in the past.
Yeah.
Look at Jaromir Jagr. Look at Jaromir Jagr. We were forced to trade him because we refused to pay him. And we once again went down a bad trail. After Lemieux, bad trail. Now, obviously, Lemieux was a different case because he had a lot of stuff going on. Retirement, out of retirement, stuff like that. So the Penguins, they did treat him right in that sense because, a lot of stuff that was going on. But for Jagr's case, not good. Jake Guentzel's case, not good. I think Dubas knows that.
There's been others in the past. Yeah.
There's been others in the past. I'm just talking notable players that if they stayed, they would be automatic superstars, Now, Jagr was an automatic superstar at the time he left and got traded. But Guentzel, he still had some good 4 or 5 years in him in his prime that could make him a Hall of Famer almost if he continued to play with the Pittsburgh Penguins. But mistreated. He's gone. And it was because Kyle Dubas waited too long. It was because Kyle Dubas decided to play chicken with his agent. And if I'm Kyle Dubas, I'm being best buds with Sidney Crosby's agent right now. I'm saying, let's go to a golf course and figure this out. That's literally how I'm handling this right now. I'm going to say, let's go. Let's go. We're going to play 9 holes. And by the end of this day, we're going to have how many years he's staying and at what number. And 18? What's golf, Josh?
Yeah. How many holes do you think they play in golf?
Isn't it 18?
It's 18.
Yeah, but isn't 9 a quick game?
Yeah, but let's be honest.
No, I'm confident.
But
that's a quick game, right?
I'm confident in the fact that if you are a professional athlete in your off season and one of the things that you enjoy doing is golfing, that means that you have. Okay, agents have all the time in the world. I don't care what they say.
Josh, but I don't think you understand what I'm trying to say.
They're playing 18.
Yes, I get it, but there's 9 holes 18. In a quick game.
Not many
tennis, you don't want to play 5 sets. 18. You want to play 3 sets. Okay,
I'm telling
whatever.
You,
they're playing 18.
They're playing 18.
Doesn't matter what they play, Josh. You're missing the metaphor, okay? By the time they finish playing golf, it could be at a driving range, at Topgolf. I don't care. Okay. By the time their session is over, I want them to have how many years Sidney Crosby is going to be there and for how much. And then when he gets back to the office, he's going to tell the graphic designers, create the graphic and post it tomorrow. We got a done deal. That's what I'm working on. That's what I would be working on if I'm Kyle Dubas. You need to re-sign Sidney Crosby. Everyone else, wait until June. Wait until you figure out what you want to do. Talk with Mike Sullivan, figure that out. I don't know who you would like in the hockey world, right? If you're a coach, and which I'm referring to Kyle Dubas's exit media press conference where he was saying like, oh, I got to sit down with Mike Sullivan and figure out the future of the Penguins, right? Because Mike Sullivan's not going anywhere. Thank you, Jesus. He's staying here for long term, which I like. That's something I predicted during the season when there was a lot of hate for Mike Sullivan. I said he's going to be here for the next 5-10 years. I would love that until he decides he's done, which I think is the actual case. But anyway, he said he's going to sit down with Mike Sullivan and discuss the future. Crosby should already be signed before that conversation happens. Because there's no need to discuss the future if it's not with Sidney Crosby. We don't have first-round draft picks lined up. We do not have the lottery to look forward to. We're not Chicago. We're not Columbus. We are a team that just missed the playoffs. Just missed. Sidney Crosby needs help. He doesn't need to be gone. And I think that's the difference. People are comparing us to Chicago, to Detroit in their bad years. No, we're nowhere close. We just missed the playoffs. Sidney Crosby is still an elite player. During the time with Chicago, Taves and Kaner, they weren't doing the best. Why? Because their team sucked and they were finishing last. Now, the Penguins are not finishing last. They're still competitive. So that tells you right there that Sidney Crosby is competitive. Sidney Crosby is willing to carry this team. So go out there and grab people to help Sidney Crosby. Sign him immediately. Come June 1st, after the offseason, when the Carolina Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup, you go to Jake Gensel and say, here's a check. Come back. We'll keep Michael Bunting. He goes to the second line. Riley Smith is gone. Raquel, Malkin, Bunting in the second line. Gensel comes back. Crosby, Rust. That's your top six. You work on the bottom. You work on the bottom six.
And that was
that's your off season.
Something that I was going to ask you about this. So we missed the last game of the season. So we missed talking about one of the players that we have been kind of hard on and have been wanting off of the ice for the last 2 years. And we finally get that wish through his retirement, Jeff Carter.
I was like, Ryan Graves didn't this last year.
So one of the guys that won't be back already,
Big Jeff
which
Carter,
we know is Big Jeff Carter.
Well, first of all, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
You could continue after a statement from the Penguins Collective podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Big Jeff Carter, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Although there was a lot of hate, and I want to redact what Josh just said, the last 2 seasons, we have somewhat defended you by saying the reason why you're out there is for faceoffs. You know it. We know it. Mike Sullivan obviously knows it. The rest of the world doesn't. Okay? Especially when you go into overtime and people are freaking out at the fact that you're in overtime. We know why you're out there. Okay? We're not stooges in that case. We understand. So everyone else, trying to hate on you, they don't know. We know.
Well, I think it was because of last season, him being
was
the third center.
Yes.
And this year, I think bringing in Lars was a big relief because then that was able to put him at the fourth line.
Yes.
And just literally, have I don't know how you want to say it, but, a proper send-off season.
Yeah, I think it was.
But now that contract and
all of it
is off the books. So that's one guy that we know that is not coming back. Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff Carter. Go ahead, Josh.
Yes. Hall of Famer?
No.
Ooh. He's border because of the 2 Stanley Cups. He's
Yeah.
border.
I don't know if he's. I think we need to put some respect back on the Hall of Fame, and that's for every sport.
I feel you. I feel you 100%. But I'm just going
there's
off of the trend of who has been
that's
being
fine,
added
and
in.
I understand that
Think he
there's
may
a
get in.
trend. That's
Yeah.
fine eventually, but if we're going to do that trend, there needs to be automatic Hall of Fames. No more waiting.
That's fair. And can we also add, which I actually just heard this from Deion Sanders, and I think this is genius. I think this should be applied to all Hall of Fames. Different tiers. So, like, have the Hall of Fame be multiple floors, and, like, you know, those guys that you want in the Hall of Fame just because they were crucial for, like, you know, a certain time period in the league.
Bronze.
Ground floor. Yeah, ground floor. And then you just slowly make your way up
but
to
then
the
you decide.
all-time elites all the way up at the top.
Yeah, but then you obviously put that Mount Rushmore on every sport, and then you have to decide who gets in. Because here's the thing, in
And
hockey's
it can change,
case,
though. It can
yeah, I
change.
know, but who
So-
who do you put in the gold tier? Obviously, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Bobby Orr, Gordie
Orr,
Howe.
Gordie Howe.
Do you
Sid.
put Patrick Wall in there?
It's hard. Goalies are hard. See,
That's
like
my
with
point.
hockey,
This is why this would
it's-
never happen. This is why
Yeah.
people would freak out, because if they go Patrick Waugh, they go, no, Martin Brodeur should be in goal.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
I take Brodeur over Patrick Waugh.
me too, but I'm
Yeah.
putting up a thing. But
Yeah.
here we go. I think it should just be 2 tiers: elite and just Hall of Fame. So that's
But again, different tier level. That's fine.
But just two.
I kind of like that, because then you allow someone like Jeff Carter who can get in as a Hall of Famer. Was he elite at times? Yes, but he was not an elite Hall of Famer. You know what I mean?
How about this, Josh?
There's
How about I have a
difference.
better solution.
Okay.
Make it harder to get in. Make
That's
it harder
fair
to
too.
get in.
And
Just
but this is
like,
this
Hall
is
of
where
Fame needs to be. Whoa, he got into the Hall of Fame. Not where
hear
it's
you.
like, hey, he had a good career, he was good. Now let's bring him in. I feel like that's so dumb.
Someone for basketball said that they were turning it into the Hall of Very Good, because the thing is, like, you're allowing, you know, you're diluting the greatness that,
Correct.
like you're saying, the prestige level of the Hall of Fame. So I don't know, things to consider, things that, you know, are way above our pay grade that we may never have any influence on.
So last thing on the Hall of Fame thing, and then we can move back on to, this is what I recommend going forward. The greats, the undisputed greats, and obviously there's a committee for this to figure out who are the greats, get in automatically. They don't have to wait.
Sure.
But it's every 5 years there's inductees, not every year.
Okay.
So every year there's like, oh, here's the next 5 people going into the Hall of Fame. Nope, no more. Every 5 years there's going to be inductees.
I don't know. I kind of like every year, but but you reduce the amount. Don't have like 10 guys coming in. Have, like you said, 5 guys every year. Just 3 year, 3. I don't care. That's fine.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, because if you do it every 5 years, you're like, who are they going to pick? Because now they have to go back in time.
You have to do a lot then, and that just makes it.
It's the Hall of Fame, Josh. It's the Hall of Fame.
I get
so, but I'm like Sidney Crosby, Alexander Ovechkin, that they don't have to wait. Like, as soon as they officially retire, they go, congratulations, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin. Is he a Hall of Fame? Yes.
Yes.
But is he immediate? I don't know.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. Well,
anyway,
conversation for another time. So what I was saying was that obviously that spot is going to be open, and there's going to be other changes for the team. Do you think it's going to be kind of a? That's why I'm thinking Sid is. This is the reason why I'm thinking Sid is going to wait. He wants to see what Dubas does. He wants to see how Dubas controls this offseason. Because the thing is, Sid is not the guy that will say, I need XYZ. I want you to do ABC. He's not that guy. So
You
he's
don't
going to
think
sit
so?
back. No, I don't think so. I think he's the type where Dubas is saying, hey, these are the guys I'm looking at. Like, do you have any specific opinion on them? Like, I don't think he's saying, I don't think he's going to Crosby with a list and saying, hey, can you tell me which 5 of this list that you want? I think he's saying, this is who we're eyeing up. What do you think? Are these, kind of like draft day? Is this the kind of team that you can coach? I think he's going to go to Sid and say, are these the guys that you can play with? Yes? Okay. Yeah, because like the thing is, you can't. It's got to be a collaboration. You can't have one telling the other one what they're doing, because it would look really bad for Sid to walk into Kyle Dubas's office and say, Kyle, I need you to sign. I don't even know who's a free agent, but
Yeah. That's
Kyle
another
Koso.
video, by the way.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll do the research. We'll do it. But
we'll do an
I need
episode
you
of
to. Yeah.
who resigns. Go ahead.
Oh, I need you to sign. Who's the second 1B goalie in Boston? Is it Olmark? Olmark. I need you to go and sign Olmark. I know he's a free agent, so I need you to sign Olmark. He's not going to do that. Kyle Dubas is going to say, "Well, I just signed Jari last year."
Here's
so
what's
I
going.
don't think that's going to be it. I think he wants to see what Dubas does. So that's why I think he's patient.
I'm a little. I'll say it's kind of a yes and. I think yes, there is parts of that where Sid goes, "I trust you. Do what you need to do." But I think there's also Dubas coming up to Sid and going, "What do you think we need going forward?" Speed.
But it's evident it's obvious what we need.
It's not obvious, Josh. It's not obvious. Here's why it's not obvious. We thought Erik Karlsson,
not a
hold
Crosby
on.
question.
We thought Erik Karlsson was the solution to our power play, and it turned out to be even more of a problem. So it's not like, who do you think is going to win? I think it's, hey, Sid, you're on the ice. What do you think we need to win? He's going to say, we need a Chris Kunitz and a Pascal Dupuis. We don't need a Hall of Famer. So if that's the case, he's going to say, okay, with that information, let me sit down with Mike Sullivan. Who do we need? This is what Sid wants and thinks. Okay, so taking that, what do you think? Okay, so we need those 2 guys too. Great. I know what I need to go after. And I think keeping Sid in that loop is what's actually happening right now. Because when we were low, there was only 3 people giving the same message. Kyle Dubas, Mike Sullivan, and Sidney Crosby. Everyone else wasn't on the same page. If you really go back to, and here's why I think he's in the loop more than what he leads on. Here's why. He says the same things that Sullivan says and that Kyle Dubas says. Everyone else does not have the same verbiage. Sid goes in his interviews. Remember, this was before the 12-game stretch. This was right, like, hey, we're struggling. We need to start picking it up. And he goes, oh, you just got to, we got to keep on digging for points. Dubas says we got to dig for points. Sullivan says we got to dig for points. No one else says that verbiage. I think he's in the meetings a lot more than what we think. I think he is very involved, which is why I think Sidney Crosby should be re-signed tomorrow. Okay, like honestly, it doesn't matter to me. If I'm Kyle Dubas, you got like 5, I think it's like 5, 6 people that have contracts that need to be re-signed. Sidney Crosby should be the only thing on your mind until you get that done. Then it becomes everyone else. Because someone like Jansen Harkins, which we love, he's been on the podcast. Shout out Jansen. Make sure you go watch that episode.
Nice plug.
Someone like him, he's up for re-sign. no offense, Jansen, you're not Sidney Crosby. Like, I mean, I'm like, I'll figure out Jansen later. Jansen can wait until June. Sidney Crosby cannot. So,
yeah,
sign Sidney Crosby.
that's fair.
Go ahead.
No, that I think you nailed it. I think, and like the thing is that what you're talking about, like we're in terms of like how involved Sid will be, we're talking pretty much about the same thing. We're just using different examples. You
Yeah,
know,
that's true.
just the fact that like, you know, Sid is there. He's getting his opinion in order to make the best decisions. Because the thing is, for Kyle Dubas, this is just my opinion. If I was the GM, I'm not just going into free agency with a list of 5. You know, I'm going in with a list of, okay, here's 20 to 30 guys that we can afford. Here's 20 to 30 guys that, you know, we think can impact this team. Now, of this 20 to 30, who do you guys think? You know, because the thing is, you know, it's got to be collaborative, and that's something that, you know, you see all across sports. The teams that work hand in hand up and down the totem pole succeed. Kansas City Chiefs, perfect example. Mahomes, Kelsey, Reed, Spagnuolo, and then you got the upper management. The fact that I don't even know upper management's name is a huge thing, because that means that they're all working together, and the faces of the team, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, can do all the talking. And I'm okay with Kyle Dubas doing talking. I'm okay with him being out in public. He's a good-looking dude. He's young. People want to talk to him. Fine with it. That's okay.
He
because
doesn't.
the thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, because the thing is, in the NHL, many people aren't talking. No one really talks. So if anyone is willing to step in front of the podium and answer questions, I'm willing to listen, because whenever that happens, that's the only time we're going to get any type of information. And I've said it before, the NHL needs to change that as soon as possible. If it needs to wait until the new CBA, which I think will be 2025, the end of the 2025, fine. But like, come on, this is bad. This is bad. That's just my personal opinion, because the thing is, like, it's really annoying about all of this, about the Penguins, about whatever is going on in Toronto, or is it Toronto? There's, oh my gosh, who's the guy who's hurt, who's not hurt? I think it's in Toronto. Mitch Marner, I want to say.
Or Nylander.
Nylander, thank you. William
It's
Nylander.
Toronto. It's
Toronto. No one knows anything. Nothing. But and also back in Pittsburgh, we're finding out that Chris Letang has been playing super hurt all year.
Yeah, but you find that out all the time. You find that out all the time. Every team does it. Every team does it.
Why? No, I understand, but it's just the fact that, like, because we follow the Penguins, I'm able to know about that right now.
Right.
But the thing is, like, why are we just finding out about this? I understand
Josh,
hockey players are warriors. I get that. They're warriors. They play hurt. I get that.
Yeah.
But let us know you're playing hurt, because we're criticizing Chris Letang's play. If I knew he was hurt, I wouldn't be so hard on him. That's
hurt. A very good point. We were trashing him hard this
That's
season.
What I'm saying. It makes no sense, because you have guys like us, you have analysts that are, you know, criticizing people's play for no reason because they're playing hurt. You can then start the conversation with Chris Letang's hurt. You can see it in his play, not this guy's making bad plays. No. It's really annoying. And I get it. You're trying to protect the players because, like, obviously injuries are serious.
Yeah.
And if they're playing through it, it's a serious matter, and it's something that needs to be protected so that they're not targeted. I get that. So then make it more of a, penalty or a, punishment when that takes place, because you can see, you can see when it happens. If you see in the injury report, from the day before from the coach that, I don't know.
Chris
Let's just
Letang has a hurt leg. You're going to hip check him a
and
lot
all of a
more.
sudden,
Yeah.
or someone just starts whacking his leg with a stick. Yeah, you're gonna know what the heck is going on. Like it's not rocket science. And these
Yeah.
refs are getting so much better. I know these refs are getting ridiculed because like a lot of stuff is just not being called right now. But at the same time, A, it's playoffs, and B, so much better than 5-10 years ago. I don't even want to hear it. 5-10 years ago, these hockey refs were absolute dog water. They were horrendous.
I mean, that's true. That's very
So,
true.
so these guys are so much better now. They'll be able to target it, be able to target the
Mm-hmm.
targeting, and make the appropriate calls from there. So that's just my 2 cents
Yeah.
about the, being open and public, and that's why, I thought I understood that it's the end of the year and Kyle Dubas was going to have his, press conference anyway, but
Mm-hmm.
I just wish there was more of it. There was more of it, a little bit more
Yes.
digging from the media being like,
The
okay, so
media
like,
was so surface level during that meeting.
yes,
And I
yes,
felt like this is going to sound very harsh and exaggerated, but it felt like the camera was just on Dubas, but there was people with guns surrounding the media going, ask the right questions.
yeah,
Because you know what I'm saying? Because Dubas was like, yes, we saw, hey, I'm not leaving until I answer everyone's question. And everyone's questions were softballs. Like,
mm.
one of the questions was, are you going to remain general manager? And he goes, yeah, I'm going to do that.
Well, I like that
Okay, next
question though
question.
because
Yeah, no, I know. It calls him
technically,
out a little bit. It did.
yeah,
That was the only question that was kind of backhanded. Where it's like, are you staying on general manager? Because dude, you suck. And
yeah.
that's where he's like, yeah, I'm staying on.
There
But
were a couple questions that were really good because there was one about that I thought was good. Then the other one
yeah,
about Ryan Graves, which I thought was really good. Someone asked
yeah. Hey, Ryan Graves
about him.
sucks. That was
Yeah,
you. That was on you, buddy. What are you gonna
and
do
he
about it?
he took ownership.
He said, I thought he was going to be good too. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so, and I will say one thing I did like about Kyle Dubas from that interview, he did not pull any punches when it came to players. He
yeah.
was like, now there was one, I did feel bad for Jansen Harkins because there was a question that said, all the people you brought on this season, how do you think they did or something like that? And he
Hmm.
listed them all except for Jansen. And I was like, you brought on Jansen. Like
Yeah.
he played
Well,
well. He was a character
he
player.
claimed him off of waivers. Could that be classified as brought him in?
I
Because like
guess.
maybe he's thinking he's the one who presented the contract to these players.
Oh,
Because
okay. I
I
guess. Yeah,
because
he
I
just
know
took
the
him.
list. Because I know the list you're talking about that he rattled off, and he did Noel Chari, Lars Eller,
Matt
Ned,
Nieto.
Matt Nieto. Like those are the guys that he
He
presented
physically brought. Oh,
contracts.
I keep on
Yeah.
hitting the mic.
It's
He
okay.
physically brought on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
So
But anyway,
maybe.
I still felt bad for him regardless.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's
oh,
fair.
mention him at least.
Yeah.
Like he broke a hand fighting and being a character out there on the ice. Like at least acknowledge him. Um,
Yeah.
Same thing with like John Ludwig, which he did mention John Ludwig, and he mentioned Saint Ivany, and I was like, okay, give a little love to Jansen. I mean, he deserves it a little bit, but
Oh yeah.
he mentioned all of them except for them. But anyway,
Yeah.
so there were some questions that were just softballs, like hey, coaching. And he's like, I kind of answered this already, but I'll continue to do it. No one really pressed in like, hey, why wasn't there more done on the Jake Gunsel front? Like why did you do
Yeah.
it? And I think someone asked like somewhat of that question, but he kind of just beat her. He went around the bush a little bit, beat it around the bush. I don't
Beat
know,
around the bush.
beat
Yeah.
around the bush.
What is the
What's yeah, you know what I'm trying to say? B
yeah.
did like I don't know.
No.
It doesn't matter. Um, he beat around the bush.
He
I don't know.
skirted around it. Skirted.
Yeah.
I
he
don't know.
skirt around the bush. I don't know what he did, but he did it by saying like, "Oh, I was talking to his, we just didn't get it done." And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not a good enough answer. Someone should probably follow up on that and try to kind of press in a little bit. He did take ownership a lot when it came to people like Ryan Graves, Eric Carlson. Even he said, yeah, he didn't have a strong start to the season, but he ended really well, which he did. That's not a false. I mean, Eric Carlson did play phenomenal towards the end of the season. So he even said like next season Eric Carlson's going to be great. So I think that he also kind of shared the future without sharing it. Ryan Graves, he's staying for a bit.
He's back.
He's back. That's what he said. He was like, next year he needs to produce. So now he's on a short leash. I think that's what that meant. He's coming back next year, but you're gonna get booted if you can't compete. And then Eric Carlson, he said, I'm gonna see great turnaround from him. Something he said from that interview, which I want to get into. Are we not going to see Jari in net next season? That was one of the questions that he was answering. And somebody said, what about the goalie situation? Jari kind of, I'm paraphrasing all these questions, so please take it with a grain of salt. But when he said like, oh, Jari stunk this season, but Ned carried us to this hot streak. What are we going to do about that next season? That was the question. And Dubas basically said, yeah, Jari did stink. Jari did. He couldn't stop beach ball. But Ned really did come in and play great. And yeah, that's really cool to see. But we got Bloomquist in AHL, and I expect him to make a push for a start next season. And I was like, hold on, time out. No one asked the follow-up question about that. Hold on, go back. Somebody better
hold that.
But here's the thing. Dubas just laid out to the media, and the media did not react. Okay?
Yeah.
That he said, I expect Bloomquist to push to make a start in the NHL next season, which means he wants him to be on the roster as a backup, as a starter. What's going on? Are we re-signing Ned or not? From what that conversation tells me, most likely we're not re-signing Ned. Ned is a one-sign deal. He's gone. Or is he saying we're going to re-sign Ned, but Jari is on the shortest leash you've ever seen? And if Jari stinks halfway through the season, he is gone. Bloomquist gets called up, and we see how he handles the NHL level before we make a deal to bring in someone like Olmark or Swayman or anyone else. Does that happen? There's a lot of things that came from this press conference that I kind of want to talk about, like that, and also how, well, I mean, we kind of just went over everything, but
I was gonna say,
but
it was nice, but it wasn't crazy long. It was like 20 minutes.
But that was the thing that I kind of got me like annoyed. He was like, I'm not leaving until I answer every question of everyone. And I was like, yeah, I like that attitude. And then everyone gave him softballs.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, is that it, guys? All right, thanks. I'm like, oh, whoa. Are we re-signing Jari? Are we trading people? What are we doing? And then when they asked about Sid, he shut that thing down so fast. He said, I'm going to keep everything private with Sidney Crosby. Forget everybody. Like Jake Gensel, that was public. Sidney Crosby, that ain't leaving my mouth. All right? It's between me, his agent, and him. That's it. So that I was like, oh, okay, that came off a little strong for me. I was watching and I was like, okay. I hope all your negotiations are private. So what does that mean from a GM standpoint? He goes, this is all going to be private now. This is it. This is private, me, Sid, and him, which I think that means he's going to start doing that now. But not let anything leak? I don't I don't know. Did he purposely let things leak for the Jake Gensel to spark outrage? I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know, because we saw early, we were one of the first ones to report that the negotiations were not going well, that it may be a possibility that we get rid of Jake Gensel. We were one of the first ones. We went over it, and then I think it was a week later, Spit and Chicklets were the ones throwing that idea out there that Jake Gensel is getting traded. But I don't know what's going on. Kyle Dubas has a big off season coming up for him. Not only as president of hockey operations, but general manager. So let's see what that happens. We know from the press conference, Mike Sullivan's staying. I don't know about the rest of the staff. That is something he didn't really say. He just said, Mike Sullivan's the guy. So there may be some pressure to get rid of Todd Reardon and Mike Vellucci. Mike Vellucci's going to find a job. If anything, I could see him becoming the Devils head coach. I could see that being a solid pick for Vellucci. But Todd Reardon, I don't think we'll ever see a head coaching job ever again. Remember, he was the Washington Capitals head coach for a quick second there.
Yeah, which I just watched. Someone posted saying, "I can't believe that this series was 8 years ago, and it was the 2016 Washington Capitals Penguins series."
Penguins series. Todd Reardon was the coach of that.
Well, he was the assistant. He was the assistant coach.
Oh yeah.
Under
that was Barry Trotz.
Before Barry Trotz left. Before he left.
He left after 2018 after winning a Stanley Cup because they wouldn't pay him.
Yeah.
How
so
bonkers is that?
Yeah. So after Barry Trotz left, Todd Reardon was the head coach of that season.
For a year. And then they were like, this guy stinks.
Well, did you know he was the Penguins head coach?
No, he was not. When?
Yeah. Because I looked this up after I saw him in the handshake line for Capitals. I believe it was like no, it wasn't 09. It was like 2011 to 14, I want to say. 2011 to 14.
He was not our head coach for 3 years. There was no way.
Yeah. I'll pull it up.
That's honestly the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
And then we'll save the off-season stuff.
Yeah. So that's what
another episode.
I was about to transition to this. So
yeah,
guys, if you're new to us, this is how our videos go. They're very sporadic. They're organized in a sense of we know what we're talking about, but it goes off on tangents. Why? Because we're not professionals. We're people like you. So just bear with us. We have a couple videos coming out during the off season. We're going to have, what is it, Josh? What?
So from 2011 to 2013 ish, like the 13-14 season. He was.
So that was before Bilesma.
Yeah,
no, that was after Bilesma.
No, after he replaced Mike Yeo.
So yeah, but didn't Bilesma win 09? So he won 09.
Yes, and then Yeo.
Which he was the assistant coach, and then we fired him. Then we got.
Then Reardon. Yeah.
And then Mike Johnston.
Until 14
to 15. Who was that? Because Johnston was 15 to 16. 16, him getting fired. Then Mike Sullivan took over.
But wasn't Johnston literally like a year and a half?
That's what I'm saying. So did he take over from Todd Reardon?
Let's find out.
Guys, this is what it's all about here. Anyway, I'll just wrap up.
What is
we're
going on
talking.
here? All right,
All
hold
right.
on.
It's a mystery.
Wait, because this one article is saying that Todd Reardon.
Why don't you just look at the history of the Penguins coaches?
Yeah, so let me read this. Let me read this paragraph. Am I reading this wrong? On July 2010, Reardon was named assistant coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He replaced Mike. He replaced Mike. Oh, never
Josh,
mind.
You're so wrong.
He replaced Mike Yeo as an assistant coach.
Yeah, I have it here. This is what I thought. Okay, you're so wrong. I was like, "There's no way." Here we go.
No, I see where I got the confusion. I misread it.
No, I know. It was a simple Google search. It's okay. 2005 to 2009 was Michael Therrien. 2009 to 2014, Dan Bylsma. Then Mike Johnston took over, was a coach for a year until he got kicked out. And then Mike Sullivan took over, led us to 2 Stanley Cups. And he's been the coach ever since.
Yeah. Every time I always forget Eddie Olczyk. Every time I see his name, I'm like, what?
Yeah, Eddie Olczyk, yeah. And Scotty Bowman. I didn't know he was our head coach for 2 years. Yeah. Oh, Bob Johnson.
Herb Brooks. Herb.
I know. Herb. This was,
Herb.
He was our coach for a year.
Heck of a spot, Herb.
Heck of a spot. Which somebody probably had to say that to him because he got let go after a year. Guess that system didn't quite work out in the NHL for you, Herb Brooks. Rest in peace. Anyway, this is a terrible episode. Anyway, guys, stay tuned for better episodes because what we're doing. It was all right. It was good. I'm just being down on myself. During the off season, we have had worse. We're gonna have a lot of better episodes of what Kyle Dubas, who he needs to re-sign, who he needs to go and get. There's gonna be a whole episode dedicated on that. There's gonna be a whole episode dedicated on player awards. So stay tuned for that. That's probably first.
Yeah.
That one, the player awards will be the first one. Then we'll go into a deep dive. Resigning, who we need to resign, like Sidney Crosby and other players, and who we need to go and get. How do we make the playoffs for next year? And then there's just overall our Mount Rushmore of Penguins. You know, we do some videos like that throughout the off season. Also, we're going to go over some other cool stuff that we got cooking for the off season. So stay tuned. Ooh, yeah, the little teaser there, Josh. A little teaser of what we got going on. But stay tuned for that. We're going to be trying to provide as much content through the off season. If you guys want to see us do something, we've always been flirting with the idea of playing like NHL 25, 24. They don't have 25 yet.
Yeah.
24 GM mode. I know. It's already late in the game, but we can play on Twitch because we have a Twitch channel. We wanted to flirt with the idea. If that's something you guys wanted to watch us do, recreate the season. Can we make the playoffs with the players we got? I think we could on NHL 24. But if you guys say, I know on paper, but on paper, we should have won the Stanley Cup.
That's what I'm saying.
I know, it's true. But will we trade Jake Gensel away or not? Who knows? Stay tuned for that. But if you guys wanted to see something like that, let us know in the comments. Other than that, if you have video ideas, maybe you guys want to get involved, leave a comment on the video below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Follow us on all platforms at Pens Collective, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of it. That's our handle. Make sure you guys follow us, stay up to date with what we got. And Discord. We have a Discord channel. If you want to be on the know or in the know, in the know. It's in the, oh, I know it's in the know. I just can't believe I said on the know. In the know. If you want to stay in the know, make sure you head on Discord, Discord/the Penguins Collective. We're going to be putting out some exclusive content, Josh. exclusive content only to
Sounds
Discord
so
people.
fancy.
First, I know. Look how we've grown in 3 years, Josh. But we're going to be giving out exclusive content to those people on Discord first. Then so just like giving you a little map, there's going to be some announcements made in the next month or so in Discord. But then you peasants won't find out until September. So if you want to find out, make sure you get on Discord so that way you're not a peasant anymore, you know? But make sure you you go. I know that was a little harsh. You go on Discord / the Penguins Collective. It's a great community that doesn't call each other peasants. It is a fun time. Make sure you're there. We talk live during the games, during the off season. There's a whole conversation happening as we speak right now. So it's really cool. Make sure you hop on. We got a cool community. We'll see you guys in the next video. Josh, as always,
Let's go Pens.